Apparently with the Boston Bruins, you just can't enjoy a 6-0 start. You always got to be complaining and whining about something. Now, I get it. Radio hosts, they have to be bombastic, be kind of shock jocks to, bring in ratings. It's a dying medium. But Felger and Mazz have been a long time stay in the Boston media. They have been around for quite a bit. And Felger had an interesting take on the tandem of Ullmark and Swayman. I'll let him expand.
And the goalie platoon thing, it's just setting up for more trouble down the road. What is this really good for?
First round exit.
Yeah, I mean, oh, neat. Someone stick a finger in their cheek, please. Thank you.
Good job, Murray.
Neat. Wee! Oh God, did they hug last night? Wee! Oh, they hugged. They love each other.
So we're complaining about having the best tandem in the league when there's other NHL teams that don't even have a number one. Tell me that you're delusional without telling me you're delusional.
Great. Then you're going to get into the postseason and you only play one guy. That's what you do. You only play one guy. And then what's going to happen? You're going to pick the wrong guy. He's going to crap himself. You're not going to know when to make the switch. Or you make the switch, and then the other guy's going to crap himself. It's not going to work. Platoons don't work in the playoffs. They're unnecessary in the playoffs. They're useless.
They'll lose to a lower seed, just like last year.
So you're going to get all horned up. You're going to get all, whip it out and pleasure yourself. But the hug, and they love each other. I love it. Wee! And it's not going to work. It's pointless.
How is it pointless? How is having a well-rested goaltender pointless in the playoffs? That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You got to give your start. I could argue there's been goalies that have been ridden so hard in the regular season, when they get into the playoffs, they fall apart. If you want to have an honest conversation about how the goalie was handled last season in the playoffs for the Bruins, absolutely. Ullmark was hurt and dealing with something. I thought they should have went with Swayman far earlier. 100% of Swayman is better than like an 80-70% Ullmark. He didn't look right. I'm not going to hold that against him. Now, Ullmark's got to prove to me he produces in the playoffs, right? Just like any goaltender has to. And I'm not going to blame Swayman for being essentially thrown in cold at Game 7 and being put in a difficult situation. Again, there are so many teams in the NHL that don't even have a 1. They would love to have this tandem. They would love to have one of these goaltenders on their roster, and we have 2. The Bruins have 2. How could you complain about that? That makes no sense. So you're complaining about the depth and they won't have a number 1. That will be figured out as the regular season goes on, who's going to be the one in the playoffs. If an injury happens in the playoffs, knock on wood if they make it, right? Hopefully Montgomery does the right thing and just goes with the healthy guy. But having 2 good goalies is not a bad thing.
At the end of the day, this thing that they have is not going to help you in the playoffs. It's not. Do either of them have a pair of balls? You know what I would rather? You know what I'd rather have? What I think is healthier? Is that they freaking hated each other and wanted to bury the other kid. That would be healthier, because that would show me someone who was like cutthroat and competitive. And you know who I heard was just, on top of being a little nuts, but just a turbo a-hole, was Thomas.
Tim Thomas.
To his fellow goalies. I've heard from his former teammates that guy, not a team guy, not a guy that, I've heard not good things about him, and I'm talking about way back when. I'm talking whatever, decade and a half ago. Well, he got a hair across his ass. He grew to hate the organization. He got all pissed off at the organization. Remember his cup year? They had tried to trade him the year before. Remember he changed the color of his pads. He wouldn't even wear black and yellow pads. He changed his pads. Remember all this stuff? Like Tim Thomas nuts, and you're almost better off with that guy.
So you're better off with a guy that hates the other. Okay. So I can slightly understand where he's coming here from in this regard. You want to have a goalie that has that killer instinct. And I don't want to get into a Tuukka Rask discussion on this video. There was moments he played amazing in the playoffs. There was moments that he had some pretty poor performances, but that's even happened to Tim Thomas in the past. Now, Tim Thomas was an absolute monster during that Stanley Cup run to win us a cup in Boston, but let's not act like every single playoff series that guy was unstoppable during that run. Absolutely. But he also had his moments. I don't feel like you need to hate your backup goaltender to be the best version of yourself. You got to find that internal motivation. I don't think that's a big deal if they cohabitate. Like, Jeremy Swayman's a younger goaltender. This is the perfect situation. I don't even know what you're talking about. Linus Ullmark is a veteran in this league, was in Buffalo for many years, had went through the ups and a lot of the downs of the NHL. You want to have a veteran in this friggin' locker room. You want to have the good relationship so they can learn from one another. That makes no sense. You don't want him to hate the young guy coming in that's going to be your heir apparent. And then you have Swayman, who just went through arbitration. You don't think he's not motivated? Have you seen how he's played? Are you blind?
Then this I can't even. Can I?
Okay, but what about
this reaching fest between these two guys?
Oh, you mean the love in between?
Oh my God! I'd much rather have them hate each other and try and bury each other.
Okay, don't you think though the reports have been that Swayman's a little pissed off about the arbitration thing?
Okay, fine.
Like,
good.
So
I forgot about that or didn't know about that. I'll take that. But then I want you to bury this skid mark guy, who it feels more Tuca-y by the day. Yeah, don't hug him. Try and take his job and be the guy. And I think they'd be far better off with that.
All right, okay, enough. I don't we're already kind of lumping in Ullmark with Rask and his playoff performances, but the dude was injured last season. He got hurt. He was spectacular in the regular season. He looks good again. He looks far more sure of himself. Are we just going to pretend that he wasn't in Buffalo his whole career and that's why he didn't really have any postseason experience? Are we going to pretend that goalies need to go through those rough patches to get better? Do we not forget when the Bruins folded against the Flyers in that year? Reverse swept? Are we just pretending that players need to sometimes go through some things to learn how to win, how to be the best version of themselves? And you can complain about how the goaltending was managed last season. I will give that to you in the postseason. They should have probably went with Swayman far earlier so he could have got some game action and got into rhythm. I get that. Going into a game 7 cold is never a good thing. It's unfair to the kid. But to sit there and complain about the best tandem and how they like each other is a bad thing. Nothing more asinine has ever been said. Ullmark has been a veteran in this league. Swayman is a young goaltender. You're in the perfect situation. Now, arbitration, he's going to be an RFA again. At the end of this season, they're going to have to figure out a price point for him. Swayman, if he's pissed off, that's a good thing. If he's motivated, that's a good thing. He's playing like it, and it's early in the season, and the schedule is going to get tougher. But to complain about a tandem enjoying, being friendly, both playing good, is beyond stupid. It really is, and I get it. It's radio. You have to play up. You have to kind of play up ignorance, I would have to say, in a sense. But just some of the you need a number one the goal. No shit. Who's to say that they won't figure out who the one is, whether it be Swayman or Ullmark? Whoever's playing the best at that time is going to be the one. And then, you know what the luxury of that is, Felger? When one of them shits the bed, let's just say that happens, you have a good goaltender to go right to. You'd have to do it far earlier than just game 7. You have to give the goalie, to get in a rhythm, give him a few games. But can we just, get rid of this idiocy, pretending having the best tandem in the NHL is a bad thing when there's goalies like the Edmonton Oilers that don't have a one? And the Oilers got a lot of defensive issues. Not just blaming it on Campbell and Stewart, but can we just not pretend that one of the goalies from Boston went over the Oilers? Not saying would fix everything, but they'd be in a far better situation than they currently are right now. I don't know. Just saying. I saw the clip come across, watched it, and I'm like, wow. I can't believe you're the Bruins only in the Boston market. You're 6-0. I get it. relatively soft schedule thus far. It's going to get far more difficult. You're 6-0. Both goalies looking good. Defense looking good. Yeah, you have some question marks in offense. You got to adjust the lineup. Got to fix some of the scoring. Get some more chemistry. But you're complaining about a 6-0 start. You're complaining about the best tandem in the league. It's a you don't have a defined number one. Come on, man. All right, I'd like to know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with Felger? Do you think having a tandem's a bad thing? Do you think that you need to have a bona fide number one? Do you think having two talented goalies that actually love each other and care for each other is a bad thing? Should they hate each other? Should they be punching each other in the locker room? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm Captain Paul, and I'm out of here, man.